Doe and the fawn crossing over. 3 of them now. The thing about mule deer is they can get back in a little pocket behind the sagebrush and you think there's nothing out there. They're lying down behind that gray sage and they are hard to spot. If they're up and moving, it's a lot easier, obviously. 2 big does, 3 big does. Those aren't little fawns. Those are big does. Beautiful light right now. Shine on those deer and make them stand out.
We are in southern Idaho in one of the many isolated mountain ranges that are prime habitat for elk, moose, and mule deer. And my wife and I came onto this property. We were able to trade some old family farm ground for it, so now we find ourselves in beautiful foothills mountains of Idaho with mule deer. Well, we've been a whole year since I shot the 270, so we had better get tuned in. I think we're pretty good, Daisy. Nice. Think we can go deer hunting.
This land is a dream fulfilled. Dancing Springs Ranch, the new forever home for Ron and Betsy Spomer. One day, Ron will know this turf like the back of his hand, but that day is not today. For now, this brand new property is a blank canvas with spectacular potential. It's opening day of mule deer season, and Ron is out trying to pattern the deer in this area to become more familiar with his new stomping ground.
And folks have been hunting deer here for 150, 200 years. The mountain men went through here back in the 1830s. And, I mean, there's a lot of history on this place, and I get to discover it, so this is going to be exciting.
Ron Spomer grew up a self-taught hunter in a small town in South Dakota. Ron's passion for the outdoors became his profession, and he has written for over 100 magazine titles, authored several hunting books, and recently won the Outdoor Writer of the Year award. Ron is an expert on ballistics and cartridge performance and currently serves as the rifle editor for Sporting Classics magazine. And he has an uncanny ability to mimic animals without a call, the Dr. Doolittle of the hunting world.
Now we've got the ram and the ewe standing there, and I kept, and the doe started to leave, and I did another bleat like that. She stopped. The ram still hadn't left, and he looked right back at me, took the shot.
Oh, yes.
He was way over his ear tips.
Yeah.
That's the biggest one I've ever seen.
Yeah?
And big is a relative term here. Mule deer love to cross saddles, low spots between hills. And there's a pretty good looking one at the backside of the property, and I thought that might be the place.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Immediately, there are 6 does crossing it. And right behind him come 3 more, and then 3 more.
Walked so far.
I mean, this was the superhighway of mule deer migration, going right through that saddle.
The girls are here. So now I'm sitting here thinking, damn, I should have been here a little bit earlier because I'll bet you the bucks already went through. So now I've got to go find these deer. I mean, they're getting stirred up and they're finding little hidey holes, so I'm going to ease along and glass into spots where they might be bedded. I also have to do a little ranch work. I noticed the cattle knocked the fence down, so a little combination of scouting while we're doing some ranch work and hunting deer at the same time.
Yeah, we got a problem downstream here. You know, these fences are driving me nuts. I don't really need a fence because I've got elk and deer and moose every once in a while. I've got wildlife. I don't fence them in, but the neighbors have cattle, and I have got to fence those out, or they're going to be here eating all my wildlife habitat. They had a major war going on here. Good Lord. Having to turn off the electricity because I forgot and grabbed it. Yeah, silly stuff like that, but it's a lot of work. And it cuts in on my hunting time. I am not going to hunt much this year because I've got to manage this place. What the hey? Good Lord. By the 4th morning, if you haven't seen a buck, but one little spike, you're starting to get a little discouraged and wondering if it's ever going to happen. So I'm on a mission now, but I'm sticking with that saddle because that's the only place we've seen a male deer. And guess what? It happened. I look over and here are 4 does and fawns coming down through the hillside sagebrush. And above them is another deer, and I figured it's another old doe. Finally ease my binocular up and about fall over, because it is a buck, and it is a pretty good buck. He's coming down the hill, he's doing everything right, and all of a sudden, he leaps across the fence, and I realize, I can shoot him, he's on my property. This is crazy. I'm getting so excited, it's like my first deer hunt ever. I get my sights on that buck, and I am just about to pull the trigger when he starts running off with the does. And my brain is going, the first buck you've ever seen on your ranch, and you're gonna blow it, you're not gonna get him, he's going to run off. And so I'm thinking, what can I do, what can I do? And you can whistle sometimes to stop him, but I've had great luck with whitetails barking. I barked, and instead of stopping like a whitetail, he took off running like a mule deer. This is not working. So I'm really getting frustrated now, and I'm thinking, I'm gonna blow it. This is the only buck I've seen. It's 4 days of hunting. I've got to get him. And then he stopped. He stopped, and what did I do? I rushed my shot.
What the? It hit. Go down, go down, go down.
And I could tell by the way he was running that he was hit, but he wasn't going down. He wasn't getting that wobble factor that they get when they start to lose blood pressure. So I thought, I don't think I got into the chest cavity.
In those bushes.
And he got up into a thicket on the hillside, a little pocket that always looks to me like a great place for a mule deer buck. In it he goes, and down he goes.
He bedded, he didn't fall down.
You can see his antlers sticking out, I can see his head up, looking around. That's always a bad sign. That is not a sick deer. I've got to get another shot into him. Wait a minute, 400 yards across, wind's blowing, that's a tough shot.
He's not going anywhere. I'm gonna have to sneak up and finish him off.
Very slowly, very cautiously. I screwed up once today, I don't need to do it again. So I'm going slowly, looking, got this bushes spotted, ease on up, find him bedded there right where I'd left him. Perfect. Now all I have to do is get in position for the shot. So I slowly get myself into position with my sticks up.
Yeah. Whew. He's down.
Wow. But that worked out quite well. So now we need to go down and see our first buck from Dancing Springs Ranch. This is the first buck I've ever seen on this ranch. He's no monster, but he's pretty darn nice. There he is. Oh my gosh, look at the body. I'll tell you, these mule deer's bodies impress me every time I come up on one. I've seen many, I've shot many, and I just never get over how big they are. The bodies are just so bulky. Ah, that's a beautiful animal. First cousin of the whitetail. You know, it's an adaptable, remarkable deer in the West. If you've got dry country and you want deer in it and there's no agriculture, not enough water, and whitetail can't make it, mule deer fills in. And am I glad they do. It just all kind of came together emotionally and overwhelmed me. It was just, I couldn't believe it. I shot a big mule deer buck on property that I am now managing. How cool is that? It's just, oh, and I don't usually call people on the phone when I'm hunting, but I had to call Betsy and say, hey honey, get the freezer ready, we got winter meat. Oh, she was so excited, she was practically crying. I can't manage for whitetails out here, but I can sure manage for mule deer, huh?
Oh, mule deer, pheasants, sharp-tails, elk, moose, you name it.
Yeah.
Grandkids.
Manage the property for grandkids. What do we feed them? We feed them mule deer. Here, kids, eat this.
Organic.
Oh, grass-fed, all organic. Dancing Springs Ranch meat.